All right, so we'll just play with who's here and who's alive and who can do this. I've made 5 or 6 of you panelists, and hopefully I will at least get this done. But all of you can mute or unmute as will to ask questions. It's an interactive class. Art of Negotiation. I'm going to tell you briefly where all this information comes from. It is a copywriting class that I have written, and you'll see it on the documentation that you have found. One through Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's his on learning webinars and things that he has done. Some of it is from the Harvard Business Review. There are multiple studies and things that I'll cite during our class today. A large portion of the material is from Chris Voss and his book, Never Split the Difference. Those of you who are ninjas will see some of the ninja selling techniques and some of the ninja skill sets that are in there. And then me and my experience, I have over 20 years in this industry and the last 14 as a managing broker. So I am currently the broker of the Woodstock offices and the Mountain offices. I see quite a few of you on here. If you have any questions, let me know. Please interrupt. I am not a presenter that doesn't like interruption. I need to see your faces, and this is a very interactive class. So right now, you're all unmuted from my end. So if you'll mute yourself so we don't have any background noise, and if you do have a question, just unmute yourself quickly, and you should all be able to share your. If you can't, let me know, and if you do want to come on, and we'll do some role play and things like that. I'm hoping, I know Al and Sherry have sat through this class, I think, before. I'm a big believer in taking these classes over and over again because it is a skill set group and you learn better with repetition. So those of you that have your books that was sent from Terry, I'm on page 1. Those of you that don't, I'm actually just going to read this to you, just so you know. As an agent, somebody's sharing their screen, by the way, so I can see your screen, just so you know, whoever that is. As an agent with here Norman Realtors, you are a member of an elite real estate company with 90 years of experience in the metro Atlanta market. You are the original residential real estate firm. We have a reputation for being the most professional and well-trained real estate agents in the state of Georgia. The purpose of this course is to help you discover which techniques help in negotiations and which do not. If you're not talking right now, go ahead and mute yourself because I have some background noise. You'll gain a greater understanding of the GAR forms related to best practices for brokerage engagements, offers, counteroffers, amendments, and more. You will also learn and practice specific techniques and principles that will be of assistance in delivering the highest level of customer service. There are many decisions you must make each and every day to run a successful business. This course provides basic information to help you. Please note, this course and materials are designed as resource to reference. The suggestions made within are not mandatory. Please consult your broker or a member of the H&R leadership team with any other questions. So, does anybody have the Art of Negotiation book open on your computer or in front of you? Anyone? Jan, go to the next page where it says it begins with the way you think. Now, I'm going to ask you to read that to the group, so you'll need to unmute. And what I want everybody to do, those that have it, read along. Those that don't, listen. What I want you to do is if there's any sentence or any idea that's there that resonates or connects with you, let's talk about that. If there's anything that doesn't, if it seems odd or out of the way, let's talk about that. So Jan, Curtis, go ahead. You're muted. Are you muted? No.
May I ask you a question? Do you know how I can unmute myself so I can hear?
Excuse me? Hold on, Jan, can people not hear you?
Something you can talk so I can listen when the other people talk, not just her, but like when she talks. How can I?
So that will be on your side. So
I'm supposed to be able to unmute myself so I can hear what they're saying. And I don't know how.
Al, can you read it? Who has it? I can't do it anymore. I'm so tired of this. I'm gonna spit.
Yeah.
Nobody can hear you, Jen.
People can hear you right now.
Well, I
How?
don't want them to hear me. I
You
just want to hear them.
Okay.
We're all frozen. There's nothing I can do about anything. All right, I'm going to read it. It begins with the way you think. You can transcend any situation. This is really funny and apropos right now. Thoughts rule the world for the simple reason that thoughts determine feelings and actions. We can think ourselves into happiness or a deep depression. We can think ourselves into health or illness. We can think ourselves into peace of mind or a raging fury. Quite funny right now, eh? We can think ourselves into a narrow, limited world characterized by procrastination and paralysis, or we can think ourselves into a noble, creative life and the actions that give it shape and substance. If we only take care of our thoughts, our feelings and actions will take care of themselves.
I'm sorry. Oh,
For better or worse, we give to others the fruits of our own thinking. By the same token, we are influenced by the thinking of those with whom we associate. It certainly helps to make friends with people who have made friends with their own minds. Observe people who are chronically bored or depressed, and you will invariably find that they dwell on negative thoughts. Observe people who are consistently happy, creative, productive, and you will find remarkable similarities in their quality of thinking. By our thinking, we create our individual and collective experience of reality. Changing our thinking for the better improves the quality of our own lives, and in so doing, uplifts all of us, all around us. Quite apropos. So basically, every class or everything you do, whether you're doing a listing presentation, whether you're doing a buyer consultation, whether you're presenting a contract, whether you have to get on the phone with another agent and negotiate or talk about some challenges, maybe in an ATAC, an amendment to address concerns, or say an appraisal didn't come in, it all starts in your frame of mind, regardless of technology and whether it boogers up or not. So frame of mind is key. So I'd like for all of you to take a deep breath and frame of mind, and we're going to do this. So whoever can unmute, whoever can share their video, whoever wants to talk, please do, because I do need interaction during this class. And let's dig into the meat and the potatoes of this. Please also use the chat box too to answer some of the questions if you're not on camera. So the first thing I want to do is talk about negotiation. Whoever wants to go first, what do you think negotiation means, or what do you think it looks like? Let's get some definition around negotiation. Go ahead, Al. Can y'all hear Al? Good night.
No.
No,
Now-
no. No, you're muted, Al.
All right, we're going to try again. I'm unmuting everybody. Let's see. Can't even find Al on here. Somebody go. This is fun. Somebody give me a definition of negotiation in your own words, if you can. Al, try again. Al, shoot. See if you can go. You're unmuted from my end. I see you as unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Who is me? Matt?
This is Nathan.
Nathan? No, I can't hear.
We can hear, I can hear.
I can hear Nathan. I can't hear Al. Somebody give me a definition of a negotiation, please. Anything you've got, anything you want to say. What does it look like to you? What does it mean? How does it feel? Is it an argument? Is it a fight? Is it collaboration? Is it peaceful joy?
Collaboration.
Tell me what it is. Go ahead.
Collaboration.
Collaboration. What else?
Process of agreement where both sides leave feeling like they won.
An agreement where both sides feel like one.
Like they won
Win-win.
as opposed to lost.
Okay. So a win-win.
Win-win.
Finding
Okay.
common ground.
Common ground. Okay. All right. Keep going.
Working through the details of both sides.
Okay. So how do you work through the details of both sides? What does that look like? Ask questions. So ask questions on the details, and then find a common ground, a collaborative effort, an agreement where both sides feel like it's a win-win. Does that kind of sound full? Have I gotten most of what everybody thinks?
And I feel like when you're someone's agent, your job is to negotiate for the best interest of your one client.
How do you determine the best interest for your client?
It's a good question.
You ask lots of questions. So that's all I'm trying to get to you is it's a process and a discussion, let's see, that relates to a specific issue. Sometimes there's multiple issues. And in that discussion, you're looking for that middle ground. And in that space of negotiating, it's imperative that you learn to listen and ask really, really good questions. So if you take nothing away from any of this, you move into negotiation with a positive frame of mind. Prior to have preparation time, and most of you are savvy agents, you've been doing this for a while. If you're newer, lean into your mentor or a more experienced agent and say, if this, then that, and you want to uncover all the things that might be of importance to the other side. Now, you're going to come up against personalities that don't work that way, that are going to dig in tooth and nail, and they look at it as a strategic battle rather than meet in the middle. They're supposed to be cooperating agents. Some don't cooperate. So you have to go in with your positive frame of mind, and I'm going to give you techniques to disarm the other side. Not disarm them so you can take advantage of them, but disarm them so they don't hurt you and your party and your client. And you're still going to do that by asking really good questions. And the one thing I want you to take away is the moment that you think you've asked the last question, find one more to ask. Because that one more question that you ask can identify that space that maybe you obviously didn't know about, but the other party might not have known that was important to them. And it's in that black swan moment, and we'll dig into that so you have a good definition of it. That's where the best deal is found. And it's not necessarily about both sides truly feeling like they win. It's about both sides being satisfied, because in true, good, collaborative negotiations, there's never a win. There's never a win. There's the best deal for both sides. Someone will lose something, someone will give up, and someone will gain, but it's always collaborative. So I want to encourage you to switch your frame of mind and your thinking from being protective of the client and finding the best pieces that your client needs by asking really good questions before you lead in. And you usually start with an explanation of the process. Should happen during your listing presentation or your buyer presentation before you ever actually get to a contract or further into negotiating a tax or negotiating price reductions or anything like that, or closing dates for that matter, or COVID. We've had a few of those. So what I want you to do is learn that these techniques are used at every single stage, even when you're just getting the listing agreement signed. It's never when it just boils down to the purchase and sale agreement. So that's where we are. Here is the definition. If you want to fill out something in your book, it's a definition of negotiation is a strategic discussion that resolves an issue in a way that all parties find acceptable. It is a collaborative compromise. So, and the next sentence, anybody want to fill in the blank here, you're welcome to. Everyone must know you have blank them before you can move forward. This is all parties, your client, the agent, the client on the other side. What should go in that blank? Most must know that you have blanked them,
Heard.
That they've been heard.
Heard.
heard them before you move forward. And how are you going to hear them? You're going to hear them by asking questions and using these techniques that we're going to dig into so that you can demonstrate your care and concern that this deal work out in the most collaborative way. And also diffuse, and we're going to use a ninja term, be that step down transformer in the process to really take the fire out of stuff and find a place that you can negotiate and collaborate. So how many people do you have to negotiate with during a contract? Let's pretend it's a purchase and sale agreement. How many people? Just start naming them. I'm going to take notes. Go.
The other agent,
The other agent. Who else?
both of your clients or one of your clients.
Clients, and there could be more than one. Sometimes there's a mom and dad giving money to the child, right? So who else?
Vendors.
Vendors. And that would be like painters, repair people, HVAC repair, HVAC tech, plumbers. Who else?
Lenders.
Inspectors,
Inspectors. Who else?
lenders,
Lenders. Definitely lenders. Who else? Come on, guys. There's like over 36 people that are part of the negotiation. They can't hear a ow sign.
A closing attorney sometimes.
Closing attorneys, yes, especially when you're dealing with somebody that's not a Campbell and Brandon affiliate. I mean, we have to really negotiate closing times, negotiate. Sometimes we get involved with the HOA and some of the fees and stuff there. By the way, I'm hoping that you all have heard from your Campbell and Brandon rep for your office or your managing broker on the mid-year GAR form changes. There's a very important one in there in that HOA document that some of the agents are leaving blank. And it states, I'm just going to give you this right now. It states that if this field is left blank, it goes to 0. If it's blank or NA, it goes to 0. And what that means, if there is $1 over 0, which we all know there probably will be, it becomes a responsibility of the seller. So it is imperative when you do get a listing agreement signed that you put it on the seller to contact that HOA and have every single thing verified, paper over it with emails and everything else. Because if you're off or you leave that blank, even if it's disclosed somewhere else, if it's $350, your seller's responsible to pay it. If it's disclosed, the buyer is. So be certain you don't have any blanks on that HOA document. Just a side note. Who else? So I have a co-agent, the other client, closing attorneys, vendors, inspectors, and lenders.
Judges.
Yes. You can have a bank, you can have a divorce. So yes. Yes. And Sherry, I know that's your voice, Sherry Hoger. You have a wealth of experience in negotiating with appraisers. So maybe we can do a role play towards the end. She's really good, guys. Learn her name. She has a perfect system for setting up appraisals and getting the values where they need to be in a way that's a very soft sell and demonstrates her expertise. She's incredible at it. Wonderful process. Who else? Children? You have children to negotiate with. I've moved through a lot of transactions in my life where sometimes children have, and I'm talking children, below 18 children have more power in a transaction than you would know. Sometimes your clients or the clients across the table are negotiating with ex-husbands and or ex-partners and ex-wives that still have part of the deal. Sometimes you're in the middle of probate on something. Sometimes you're in the middle of a divorce. There are all of these people, and you and I both know that people's hair gets on fire and they can't see straight. And it's imperative that you list out all the potential holes in your transaction as you're moving forward. It's key that you know every single what I call a snake in a wastebasket that you don't want to reach in there and put your hand on. So I'm trying to encourage you to ask questions of yourself first. And if you're new to this industry, say 2 years or less, lean into a more experienced agent or your broker and say, where are the snakes in the wastebasket on this that I should be aware of? Where are the holes in this contract? Where are the things that I need to look forward to solving? And also, candidly, we have a lot of real estate agents in the state of Georgia that aren't realtors, and they're not held to the same standards that we have. So you need to be aware of that as well, because they can pay to use our GAR forms. And on occasion, they'll submit a contract on an RE form. So I'm going to encourage you to lean into your broker or somebody at Campbell & Brannan. If you do get one of those and convert them to GAR forms, you counter on the GAR. So all of these things taken into place, you're going to have to sometimes get on the phone and have a conversation and ask questions of people that may or may not be the other agent or the client. So I just want you to have a real good lay of the land and understand what that means. So, and I apologize, my notes are on my phone, so we're gonna have to dig into it that way. The best thing that you can do in that space, whether it's your client or the agent on the other side, or a lender or an appraiser, you have to build trust. And the best way to build trust is to truly be genuinely interested in that other person and in that other individual. And I'm going to show you briefly kind of what that looks like. Jan, I still see you on camera.
Yes.
Can you, are you on? Okay, let's, give me 1 second. I'm actually looking at you, so give me a minute. Are those pearl earrings that you have on, Jan?
Yes.
Tell me about those pearls. Are they special? Or are they a gift? Or
They are long time pearls that I've had, and they're easy to have something white, especially on the webcam, not too dazzling, but it's a positive part of the outfit.
okay, were they a gift or did you buy them yourself?
You know, it was so far back, it may have been a gift from a family member or a Christmas present, but it's not like major sentimental, but just a positive thing over the years.
They're just a go-to, is what you're saying. Like they're.
And also a really like.
So see, that's asking a question and being genuinely concerned. Now I'm going to take it a step further. One reason why I asked you about your pearl earrings is my grandmother, she passed away in 2004, and I was very close to her. She taught me to cook. My mother was one of those working women that dusted her stove. So I spent a lot of time in my grandmother's kitchen and everything. And she was of that generation that always wore jewelry. Not a lot of jewelry, not flashy jewelry by a far stretch of the imagination, but 9 times out of 10, she always had her pearl earrings on. And she had a locket that had a picture of her father in it that she wore her whole life. So when I see someone with pearls, it always, I'm drawn to it, and it makes me smile and feel a level of comfort. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you about your pearls. Difference. There's your difference. So you can take those techniques and you can use them in negotiation with the other agent. If you're calling the other agent and they are in a different frame of mind, I'm going to give you the techniques to name where they are, because you can call them and they're stressed out. You can call them and they're immediately antagonistic. You can call them and you just woke them up from a nap. You can call them and they're confusing, or something that they have left you was confusing. So you want to make a connection first in your own brain, ask the questions first, be prepared for the phone conversation. And also at the same time, if you receive a phone call and you know that that agent is calling you on a contract, and I'm going to encourage you all that when you're in a co-op situation, that you save that agent's name and number with, if they're with another firm, if it's Beecham and Company, put BCH on there, whatever you want to do with their name, so you know they're calling you. And then you're immediately prepared to, number one, have the conversation if you are expecting it. Number two, sell yourself out of the conversation, meaning, oh, hey, Annie, how are you today? I know we're dealing with 123 Main Street and we're coming up on the end of due diligence. I'm in the middle of something right now. Can you tell me quickly what we need? And I'll call you back in 10 or 15 minutes. That allows your brain to stop, be that step down transformer for yourself and jump back in, especially if they call you antagonistically. So do that, sell yourself out of it, make a note. Please save your co-op agents in your phone immediately when you go binding, so that way you know what's going on there. But the key is, go ahead. I think somebody's unmuted and I don't know what's going on. So be genuinely interested in what drives the other side, what are their motivations, and you're going to build trust. So the first technique we're going to talk about under the key techniques section in your booklet is mirroring. Now, this is very simple and very effective. It works on teenagers, I promise. What you want to do is when they're talking to you and they say something inflammatory. So somebody, I can still stick with Jan, or anybody can unmute, and you can give me something that an agent has called you about recently or some challenge that you have, and be a little bit hyped up about it, and go ahead and present it to me, and I'll show you how the technique works, and we're just going to unpack it. So keep playing with me and keep dialoguing as we go. Whoever wants to go first, just tell me you're going and then say whatever you want to say. I don't
I'm
bite.
going.
Who is that? Al?
Nathan.
Nathan, go ahead. Give me something.
So you gave me a quote for the scope of work we talked about, and I went by the job site the other day, and it looks like we're about halfway done, but I've already paid you the entire amount of our quote, and I'm pretty concerned about where we are in this process. Can you please explain it to me in some way that I can understand?
So you're concerned about where we are in the process.
And I'm concerned about where the money's gone.
So you're really concerned about the money.
Yes.
Okay. Let me explain right now in the framing stages that we're in. I know we have 3 stories that are supposed to be framed. We've had a little bit of weather and everything that's gone on that's prevented us from getting there and being timely. But I am aware of this, and it looks like we're about 10 days behind due to the weather and the rain. I'm going to bring a second framing crew online. They should be there starting this Friday, and they're going to work through the weekend. It'll take us till probably the second week of July to catch up, barring rain. How does that sound?
I mean, that helps me with the timing process, but it doesn't really explain, the most recent draw you've requested. We're still behind financially, and I'm not understanding where the money is gone, not where the time is gone.
Well, we have to keep ordering the all the materials in a timely fashion so that we can complete as we need to. And if I delay ordering any of the materials or anything that's out there that is necessary, as soon as we catch up, then I'm waiting to order other things. So I have to keep the draws on the appropriate schedule, even though we may be behind due to weather and framing. But would it be helpful if I gave you a detailed breakdown of when each floor will be finished, when we're going to install the roofing and everything else at that point, and I can show you the list of all the materials that have been ordered and provide you the receipts of such so that you can track the money and see exactly where it's going at this point in time, up to this point. Would that be helpful at all?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
I can sense that you're a little uncomfortable, and I think it's mostly about the money part, and I can understand. I certainly don't like to ever pay for anything that I don't receive at time of payment. Unfortunately, construction is one of those things that you have to get the money for the materials, pay the crews, and then it comes. So whatever we can do at this point. So let me provide that to you no later than 5 p.m. today. And if you need to, call me back. I'm available, even if it's after 5. And let's just go through and unpack each piece of that and all the invoicing, and hopefully I can answer your questions if you have anything further. Does that work at this point?
Yeah, that works. I'll keep an eye out for your email.
Okay, you'll have it by 5. If you don't have it by 5, call me.
Will do.
So that's how you do it. He was very helpful. Thank you for being helpful. Because he gave me exactly what it was. Most of the time, it takes about 5 questions at least to get to what someone's real issue is. So you have to keep doing and asking. And the 2 key techniques that are there are mirroring and labeling. And you saw me do both. I mirrored exactly 3 or 4 words of the last thing that he had, because I want to be certain, because if that's not his true reason, and I take the time to answer that question, I'm not building trust. So he was like, I want to know what the time frame is. It was really about the money. It's like, look, woman, I've given you all this money and nothing's happening. Well, I have the explanation of the time. So I showed you how it looks. If I just explained the time and didn't dig in with another question, it looks like I'm just being defensive. Even though what I'm giving him is accurate, he's going to take it like I'm just being a shyster. So you have to ask that additional question, and you ask it sometimes by mirroring. So the mirroring technique is to take the last 3 to 4 words that they've said to you, and you just repeat them, and you be quiet. Real estate agents have a tough time being quiet. You want to be quiet. That's how mirroring works. So for instance, with a teenager that wants to go to the beach with her boyfriend and his family, and she's like, but mom. And so you look at her and you go, so what I'm hearing you say is that you want to go to the beach with Dan and his family. Yes, I want to go to. Well, why is that important to you? Well, it's important because and you just keep mirroring those last 3 things, and you keep letting them talk, and it will finally come out that there's something specific that they're looking for or needing. And it could be, well, wait a minute. I understand that you want to go to the beach with Dan and his parents, but that's not something that I'm comfortable with. So is there something else that we can do? Is there something else that's out there? And you keep asking those questions by mirroring those last 3 things and labeling what they say. I sense you're frustrated. I sense that you're uncomfortable. I sense that you're worried about the money. And you can say, I feel these things. So what you want to say, it's just a verbal observation of what you believe they're feeling. And they may tell you no. And that's when you go back into mirroring. So let's say I looked at Jan and I'm like, Jan, it seems to be like perhaps you're a little confused about something. And then Jan goes, I'm not confused. And then I say, you're not confused. And if I say that to Jan, Jan is then going to unpack her real feelings for me. So that's how you use those 2 techniques, mirroring and labeling. And labeling, you use that to neutralize negative emotions. You use it to also reinforce positive emotions. After I spoke with Jan and we talked about her earrings and my grandmother and those kinds of things, I could also have said, I hope that makes you feel warm too. Or you look like that made you feel warm as well. And she would probably say yes. So you can use labeling in a positive way to increase more positive things, especially if you're getting ready to give them some negative news. So always build that rapport and trust first. Use mirroring and use labeling. And it's used to neutralize negative emotions. I'm just going to be certain I've gone through all my notes and reinforce positive ones. And here's your quotes. So write these down because this is how you use labeling. I sense you feel a bit uneasy, or I sense you feel uncomfortable. I sense you feel fill in the blank, whatever it is. You can also say, it seems like you're confused, or it seems like you're worried, or it seems like you're hesitant. It looks like. To label effectively, you need to avoid all personal first person things. So you don't want to say is, what I'm hearing is you're upset about the time frame. What I'm hearing is you're upset about the money. You want to label it personal to them, not you. That's why you want to say, I sense you feel a bit uneasy. I sense you seem a little worried about the money. So stay away from the labeling or what I'm hearing. Or another one agents do, I think you're a little upset. Well, that's about me. If I think you're upset, that's my perception. And that's not going to build trust with anybody. If you say it in the way like, it seems like you're a little upset, let them unpack it. No, I'm not upset. You're not upset? Let them unpack it for you. So this is being that step down transformer. And there's sometimes it's a technique that works well in negotiation, and it's where you're actually going to mislabel something. So instead of saying, if somebody is, you all have had this situation, just pipe up and tell me that you have, or you can actually share a real life situation with me and we can unpack it too. Where you have a grown child and the parents are in some way, they may be contributing money to the down payment, or they might just be overly involved in where their grown adult child is going to live. And they're showing up on the showings and they're doing things and they're inserting themselves into conversations they should not be a part of. And you sense the uncomfortableness of the child in that space. And they can be 35 years old. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you just have parents that continue to helicopter well into adulthood, even after grandchildren. So you sense that this is what's going on. You could be standing in a house, showing the house right now, and you knew that that kid loves this house, and you can feel mom or dad over on the side nixing it. You know this is happening. If you're a good observer of people, anybody have something similar to that that's going on, or that you've had in the past? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
So what you want to do is you actually want to mislabel it. So when the kid is in the space of like, I love this backyard, it's fully fenced, it's perfect for my dogs, it's 10 minutes for my job, and you can see them begin to put the furniture in the right place, and they're really doing this, and you watch mom over in the corner, you're going to mislabel it. Nathan, it seems like you're not really keen on this house. What's Nathan going to say?
No, I'm in love with the house.
Exactly. He's going to begin to tell me out loud in front of his mom every reason why this house works, and then you begin to advocate for it. So you'll learn over time, especially as you do this class multiple times or you practice with each other, that there's sometimes where you purposefully mislabel so you can lay things out on the table so everybody in the room sees what's going on. It's kind of like when you have a bunch of kindergartners and somebody's lying and you don't know what it is, you take them all in the room, and sometimes you mislabel. So that person then is empowered to correct you, not their mom. You be the bad guy. You be the person that's there that needs correction. And they may do it very vehemently and know that that doesn't belong to you, that it probably belongs to the other individual. And you just stand there. You be the surrogate, and then you bring it down. You step down, transform it with mirroring. Oh, so you love this. Oh, it's only 10 minutes from your job? How does that make you feel? And unpack it and just let it be this positive love fest that completely covers the other negative energy, whether it's mom or dad in the room. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? Can you see how labeling and then intentionally mislabeling can be a great negotiating tactic? Yes?
Yes.
I see Jan nodding. That's what I see. Thank you, Jan, for playing along. Pick your liquor of choice. It's coming in the pouch. Just kidding.
Jill, can I make an observation about labeling?
Absolutely.
It seems like it seems like the thing that we have to avoid when we try to label something, either intentionally mislabeling it or using the more positive labeling that you described the first time around. You said don't make it about me, make it about them, which I think is wise. But we also have to be very careful not to make our comment in anything that would sound judgmental or accusatory to the recipient.
And that's where the unpacking comes out, because there is sometimes that in negotiations, and it's usually not with clients, I'm going to say that. It's usually not with our clients. It's usually with a co-op agent, candidly, that sometimes you do come out and push with the labeling. And I'll give you a for instance. Let's take a very real life situation. Really like the feedback from you guys. Let's pretend you're negotiating with a particular company and they have a buyer, you have the seller, you're in due diligence, amendment to address concerns. You're either going to get that or you're going to get a price reduction or they're going to remove the due diligence. You've had the inspection, you know some issues have come up, and you are now 3 hours from the end of due diligence. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Most of us want to get on the phone and we want to have the conversation, and it goes something like this. What the hell are you doing? Don't you know this expires? I mean, that's exactly where we are. And we know that that's coming. Now, there are some firms and some companies and some agents that you know of that this is a negotiating tactic for them. And you have to take the fire out of it by calling it exactly what it is. And you do it in a very firm way, but there's another technique that's like, and I call it the nighttime DJ voice. And this is how it works. So Jan, you're up. It goes something like this. Hi, Jan. This is Jill. Yeah, 123 Main Street. You know, we're 3 hours away from the end of due diligence, and I don't have any amendment to address concerns or anything from your client. What is their intention? And you just sit and you listen. And she might say, well, I haven't been able to get to them. I'm not there yet. I'm working on something. I'm blah, 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 blah. That's when you label it. I sense and feel that you seem a little frustrated right now. I just want you to know that if you don't submit anything or you don't do anything, excuse me, my clients have no intention of extending this due diligence any further. We do have backup offers, and I just want you to know that. And you take it down, and you label it, because sometimes they're frustrated. They truly can't get in touch with their client. Their clients are being idiots. Sometimes it is a negotiating tactic on that side of the table, and you have to call it for what it is. And you can just say simply, look, my clients aren't going to play. My clients aren't going to play. If this is something that you think that you're going to push at the very last minute, know that you will not get a response, which means that we will not agree to do anything, and you will be left either to terminate and release this agreement, or you'll be stuck with it as is. It's your choice. Dynamic silence, you say nothing else. That's it. That's labeling in an aggressive way. It's on a rare occasion that you will ever need to do it, and it is usually with a co-op agent, and it's usually with somebody that is not playing from the same playbook that we do. They're not coming from a place of abundance. They don't believe in any kind of win-win or collaborative effort. They're trying to negotiate to win, and they're fighting. And you have to label that exactly what it is. Like, look, you're not going to do this because my clients will TNR. They'll allow you to TNR, or they won't do anything. It's your call. And you just say it very smoothly in that nighttime DJ voice. And you just give it very simply to them. And you can then follow it up with, do you understand? Is that clear?
It's clear. That basically, the buyer's husband was coming in from out of town, and he's just getting back to sign up for a yes.
Okay. And that's normally.
That actually happened to me one time, so I just thought I'd throw that in.
We just had one last week where it was an 85-year-old woman that we had to drive. The client was going to have to drive it, or the agent was going to have to drive it over there for signatures. And I said, well, I appreciate that, but we still need it by midnight. We're not going to extend.
We'll have it by midnight.
Yeah. So you see how you very simply lay it out. I've had to do that in the past with negotiating earnest money, and when there's been a dispute over earnest money, and you just get the other person on the phone, be that step down transformer, listen to see if there's anything that you're missing, because sometimes we come in and think we're right, maybe we're wrong, especially if there's an 85-year-old on the other side of the table that doesn't have a fax or email or know how to, heck, I think she's still working with carrier pigeons. But anyway, So be certain that you've gathered all the best information, but deliver your side in that very smooth nighttime DJ voice. That also works with teenagers. It will make them more furious. And then you can say, oh, honey, you seem a little upset, and let them begin to unpack their stuff. All these techniques work on teenagers. I have a 22-year-old and two 16-year-olds. I promise they work. So moving on, that's your delivery, tone and inflection. So I want to give you this information here. The way you say something during negotiation is as important as the words that you use, tone and inflection. You can be very assertive, like what I just demonstrated to you. You can also be playfully accommodating. It delivers bad news in a way that is gentle, and you always want to set it up with a, you know what, Dan, I have to give you some absolutely terrible, terrible news. We can still move on from this, but I just want to give you this. The buyers on the contract we have on your house right now, they have submitted an amendment to address concerns that has 36 items on it. In my estimation, it's probably going to cost you about $6,000 to take care of those things. And I know we're right up against it with everything else. See? But you're playfully assertive with it in the way I delivered it to her. So you see how she responded in a playful way, rather than me coming in and going, Jim, just got an amendment to address concerns. There's 36 items on here. It's going to be about $6,000. She's going to immediately go, what the heck? I've done everything. I spent $5 to get it on the market. I have no more money. My husband's dead, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you're going to get all of that. So know that your delivery of information is always key. Tone and inflection is key to what you're doing. And sometimes you're assertive, like we were with the other agent waiting till the last minute. And sometimes you're playful and you set it up that, look, this is going to be bad news. This is not going to be what you really want to hear, but let's unpack it. And that's your delivery. So tone and inflection is always key. And all these techniques, I'm going to encourage you to take the notes and practice. I do want to say one quick thing. We are taking this class, those of you that were in the class with Ashu a week or two ago that we did, we're going to be taking this class, and on Friday, just for 2 offices, because it's the first time we're going to teach it, we're doing the negotiation skills again, but we're doing it also with Sherry Reimer, who is the broker of the Forsyth office. She is one of the most successful on-site real estate agents ever in Metro Atlanta, and ran a big team and has done it for years and years before she was a broker. And then we also have a builder that's going to be on the panel as well. And so we're going to teach you how to negotiate with site agents, how to deal with some of the contracts, how to negotiate your walkthroughs and your repair punch lists prior to closing, and also teach you to assist your client in negotiating any warranty issues between that year or two after the closing. So that's going to be this Friday. So if any of you want to take that class, because it's only going to be offered for our offices first, but the more we have participate, if anybody just wants to play along and ask questions, that then helps us rewrite the class and adjust the class so that when we roll it out to the entire company, we have really good information and really good sort of factoids that we can work within. So if anybody you want to do that, either email me or email Terry. Jan raised her hand. So Jan, you're just it today. You're gonna make me buy you a whole case of some wine, aren't you? So anyway, I'm gonna refer to my notes really quickly. So I gave you the assertive, I gave you the playfully accommodating, and the late night DJ voice. Those 3 in your delivery are the key 3 that you want to practice and work on. I'm also going to encourage you to begin to do these in your daily life. Just try them with your kids, try them with your partner. And there was a thing that was done in a restaurant, and you can try this too. I did it after I heard about it, and it actually works. You need to be in the peripheral vision of somebody in a restaurant, and this is the mirroring technique. And every time they pick up their glass to drink, you pick up your glass to drink. Every time they take a bite of food, you take a bite of food. Every time they reach for the bread bowl, you reach for the bread bowl. Every time they wipe their mouth, scratch their. You do this for about 2 minutes. and then you stop, and then you begin to do things, and they will automatically mirror you. It is something that is part of our limbic system. It is part of something that we do, and that mirroring technique is so powerful, it even breaks through hormonal teenagers. So please take these techniques and use them at home. You'll see their effectiveness, and then you'll begin to use them in real life, in your contracts and with your clients. So let's move on to the next one, body language and speech patterns. This always works best when I teach this in class. Those of you that have taken in-class classes from me, I don't stand behind a podium. I move around the room. I sit down with you at the tables. I kneel down in front of you. Body language is key. Body language and the proximity of your body to the other individual in the room affects all kinds of emotions in people. And however you move through that in conjunction with how they're moving to or away from you is key in eliciting emotions and getting people in a different frame of mind, either so they hear you better, or perhaps you can hear them better, and that you let them relax so that you can help them unpack and uncover exactly what their true goals are and stuff. So body language is key. And this is what I want you to be aware of in this. And I call it the Pinocchio effect. If you are watching a client and they begin to use way too many words or big gestures or get really animated, and that's not their normal frame of reference, no, they may not be lying to you at that moment, but what it is, whatever you have said, whatever you have presented, whatever you have done has caused them to be uncomfortable, and they could be getting ready. And that's something that you need to be aware of, not just with your own clients, but also with co-op agents and inspectors and anyone else that's going on. So what you really, really want to do is take a look at that effect. Have any of you experienced that with some, I mean, it can be just a child. It can be a 4-year-old kid. You know, they normally mom this, mom that, dad this, dad that. And then all of a sudden you ask them something and they get overly dramatic and they use way too many words to explain or move through a topic. Any of you experience that? Yes, no?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes, yes.
No, that's what it is. And please understand, it is not that they are lying to you at that moment. It is that you have made them uncomfortable and they may be getting ready to. So what you need to do is stop and use the technique. Wait. I sense you're a little uncomfortable. Let them say whatever they're going to say. And then you say, did I do or say something? Was it about? And then repeat the last few things. That's when you're not assertive. With some people, you can be playful, like, wait a minute. Was there something that I said? Was it about the inspection report? Was it about the HVAC? You know, and just kind of be playful with it. Or you can do nighttime DJ. Wait, I sense you're a little uncomfortable. Is there a problem with the HVAC?
It's very patronizing, though.
Yeah. So, and the inflection is different. If you have a sense that there truly is something wrong with the HVAC, you take it down. So it goes, is there a problem with the HVAC? Or you can take it up. If it's lighter and you're not sure, you can go, is there a problem with the HVAC? So tone and delivery is key, and inflection is key to how you deliver things. So I want you to watch how you deliver things. And like I said, I mean, even practice with your dog. Dogs hear tone of voice and things, and they can tell me you get all excited. Oh, you want a treat? Let's go for a walk. Or they can tell different things. So you can watch how your tone of voice, regardless of what you're saying, you may not be talking about a treat or anything else, and watch how your animals respond to you. It is limbic system stuff, and it's how we respond to people. And you need to learn to read those things. That's the reason why it's key to see people's faces in this negotiation class, so that when you talk, you can watch what's going on. The other thing that you want to do is watch if their tone of voice and their mannerisms are a mismatch. You will see that in person very easily. We are all getting better and better online with Zoom calls and different things. Some in person is always better, but sometimes you can't get to the people. Do a video call. Never be afraid to do that. You know, put your lipstick on if you have to and get it done so that you can see their face, and that helps you unpack those things. So you also want to look for those mismatches in things where their body language and their tone of voice is not exactly matching what they're saying. Please know they may not be lying to you at that point, but you have made them uncomfortable. And the only way you're going to resolve that and either uncover the lie so you can fix it or prevent it from happening is by asking questions and being that ninja step down transformer in the situation. And it's key in all of these things, once again, back in the beginning, that your frame of mind is positive and coming from a place of abundance and coming from a place of love when you enter into these conversations. Because if they're lying, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about some level of discomfort that they have. And you've seen it. People want to pull out of buyers. They do a contract. The very next morning, 8 out of 10 of them wake up and they're scared to death. They're absolutely scared to death. They want to withdraw. It's due diligence. I can withdraw for any reason. I don't know, la, 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 la. You know, and it might be the inspection. You've gotten to the inspection. And the only blessed thing on that inspection report is a chain pull off of a ceiling fan that's missing. And they want you to put that on that inspection report. Unclog that sink and fix the leaky faucet. And I want that chain pull. You know they're being unreasonable. You know that there's something that's going on there. And it's not about the chain pull. So don't you get involved in their level of silly. Mirror it. Label it. The chain pull on the ceiling fan? Okay. I sense you're a little upset about that. Let them talk through it. And you'll figure out more than likely there is a fear-based thing. They're terrified. Their wife just said, you know, I'm having another baby, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. Or it's just that normal process of being a buyer and waking up, first-time home buyers especially, terrified the next morning. And so once you let them begin to unpack those feelings, and then I can look over and I'm like, Jan, I completely understand exactly where you're sitting. It's always overwhelming to make a purchase of this size. It's not a pretty pair of shoes or a purse, even expensive ones. And it's a lifetime commitment, or at least probably for the next 2 to 5 years. And it's a lot of money out of your pocket. And I just want you to know that what you're feeling is perfectly normal. Most people feel this way. So I just want to let you know that I'm here and we're going to work through this. We've already talked about the process and what happened. And the next thing that we're going to do is schedule the inspection. We're going to schedule the appraisal. I know you already have everything to the lender, but be certain that you're being responsive to them. And you call me if there's something you don't know how to do, or you don't know what the term is, or something just seems confusing or a little off. Call me, text me, and I'll walk you through this. But what you're feeling is perfectly normal. Most people feel this way. So let's just keep going. And let's be certain that we have the right house for you. Let's go ahead and get it inspected. Let's go ahead and get it appraised. And be certain we have all those questions answered. Is that okay? Does that feel comfortable to you?
That sounds good.
That's all you have to do. Mirror, label, move them through the process. Do it with a nighttime DJ voice, and try to keep the mother-in-law out of the picture. So moving on.
Hey,
Let's see.
Jill,
Yes.
would you say it's finding the real objection, what you're after?
You're looking for that black swan, and that's the last part of the class today. So you're looking for that black swan. A black swan is that space that you don't know about, and sometimes the other party doesn't know about. It's that anomaly that brings the whole thing together. And it could be something they're not acknowledging. And if you're watching their body language or watching how they move through things, you will eventually uncover it by asking enough questions. That's where your collaborative effort takes place. Because everybody, you know, if Jan and I were negotiating, I'm going to buy her used car. I come to the table with things that she doesn't know about, and she comes to the table with things that I don't know about. Now, I'm a big believer in negotiations. I go in and tell Jan everything that I need. And standard negotiating tactics are don't reveal anything. Well, I know in negotiating for the lifetime that I've negotiated, and I started in negotiations when I was about 8 years old, long story. but I was debate team in high school and college. I've done all kinds of things. I know there's always that black swan area in every negotiation, whether it's professional and business oriented, or it's a 3-year-old, or it's a teenager, or it's a spouse. We all come to the table with things that the other party doesn't know and vice versa. But there's also things in that place that I don't know about me. And there are things that Jan doesn't know about her and her negotiation. So it's through watching, mirroring, labeling, being that step down transformer, and asking one more question that you find that space where it's not split the difference, as Chris Voss would say. You don't want to do that. It's you uncover that piece that makes it truly collaborative, that makes it truly an effort where Jan gets the things that she needs and I get the things that I need, and this car is sold and I drive away from her house happy. And then also, if it is a good transaction, you always want to do a transaction which leaves the people at the table willing to work with you again. That even if it falls apart, if I drive this car away and a week later the transmission falls out on 285, well, I may be a little irritated, maybe, and I'm going to call Jan. But if we've had a collaborative effort, I am not going to immediately go call my attorney and sue her. I am going to call her and we'll have an effort or an opportunity, to make effort to achieve something that works for both of us. And you do that first by building that trust, by building that rapport, by asking good questions and leaning into these things always. Because if there's a level of trust between the parties, then you can, if something goes wrong, you can always come back to the middle ground. I want you to think about that in regards to dealing with buyers in this current market. Multiple offers. Your buyers are losing multiple deals and they are looking at you going, Jan, we lost the third one. We're making offers over list with escalation clauses and no due diligence. And what are we doing wrong? So if there's a level of trust, she can unpack that with them and move them through that. If there's not, they're going to fire her and move on to another agent because they think that she's not doing something right.
I don't know if I could buy a car from Jan.
Do what now?
I don't know if I could buy a car from Jan.
Thank you, Al. It's the
Our house would work.
So let me look at my notes real quick and be certain that we stay on track here to get there. So we did body language and speech patterns. Oh, I did not share this with you. Anybody know the 7-38-55 rule? Anyone? Write this down, 7/38/55 rule. And this is what this means. In any interaction with another individual, 7% of it is what they say. 38% of it is their tone of voice. And 55% of it is your body language. I just kind of want to share this with all of you. And this is something that I have learned recently. It's been a real aha moment because I'm an observer of people and I watch people's body language and I teach negotiation. But I am actually dating someone now who has 2 deaf parents. Talk about watching my body language and catching me 2 seconds of a flash of a moment of uncomfortableness. He's like, wait. What was that, Jill? There's something there. What was that? So remember, 55% of your communication is body language. And know that it is so important to watch for those places where their body language and their verbalization and their tonnage is not matching at all. And like I said, don't automatically think that somebody is lying to you in that space. It is a place where they're uncomfortable. And by asking questions, mirroring, labeling, nighttime DJ voice, or even the playful voice, and allow them to begin to unpack those thoughts, you'll find that black swan. You'll find that place of collaboration, and you'll find that place where, if it's a child or a partner, of healing, and you don't leave those spaces untended to, because that's where that funk grows, if you know what I mean, in a transaction. Like a client said something to you and kind of set you off, and you didn't label it what you thought it might be, or mislabel it to get them to defend you. Those are the things that you need to be aware of in transactions, because if you ignore those red flags, they will bite you in the butt in 2 weeks. I promise. Been doing this way too long. Those of you, Al, I know you've been doing this 30 years. If you ignore those red flags, what happens?
You're in trouble.
You get fired.
But you
So,
know, I think something that we always miss, if we do our homework up front, the negotiation part can be so much easier. As agents, I think most of us fail to set expectations, okay? In other words, if you're representing the buyer, you are not communicating to him exactly how the process works from beginning to end, every step along the way. And the same thing, if you're representing the seller, you're not communicating to them everything that's going to happen. That way, when it happens, they feel they've already heard it from you, okay? So they've got an idea. It might not be the complete idea of what's going on, but they'll have an idea of what's going, what the process is and what comes next, I guess. To me, that's probably, you can eliminate half the problem you get into by setting expectations up front with your buyers and sellers. Let them know what it's coming down the road, and everything else will work itself out.
most of the time. Most of the time.
Yeah, to me, you were asking the meaning of negotiation. Oh, by the way, I negotiated with my computer and I got it working now. Okay, so the sound is working fine. I can't get video, but the sound is working fine. But you know something, to me, negotiation is coming to a climactic resolution that both parties are happy with the outcome. No one feels the other side won. They both feel like they've got what they wanted. Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's basically our job. Just to make sure everyone is happy, whether it's the seller or the buyer. We want the whole process to go all the way through to closing.
To be a collaborative effort. That's the key.
It really is.
Let's unpack these last three real quick. Number 5 is illusion of control. There are sometimes, especially like with that mother-in-law or the mother that's involved in the transaction, or somebody that is in the process of moving through things and sometimes it's the co-op agent. This is the thing that we have to realize. We are not principals in the transactions. We are agents of the principals. And sometimes on the other side of the table, you'll have an agent that is trying to bring all of their own ego-based stuff into the transaction and fight or win or have their own stuff, or maybe their wife just told them they were leaving them or their dog died. I don't know what it is, but you never know, but you can sense that in a transaction, and they're fighting for control. So one of the key ways that I can describe this is all of you've been on a listing presentation and you have somebody that wants you to reduce it to 5% because so-and-so down the street, the top agent with so-and-so down the street is willing to do it for 5%. So the way that you work that is they're going to say, well, the agent down the road that's doing $30 million a year, blah, 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 sells everything in the neighborhood, is willing to list my house for 5%. You look very simply at them and you say, please don't ever make it a why. Like, why do you want me to do that? Or what? The why doesn't matter at this point. It's always a what or a how. And those will give them the illusion of control. And this is how it works. Well, Jan, I see that, but if that's the case and they're willing to do everything that I've laid out that I'm willing to do, all the power behind me of the Harry Norman brand and 90 years of experience in this industry, in this market, and we are the luxury leaders. There's nobody that sells more luxury property in Metro Atlanta than Harry Norman. How am I supposed to do all of that for 5%?
I guess it really would cut back on a lot of important things, I guess. Bad.
So a how question gives her the power. And you can also, don't ever, 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 ever be afraid of saying, well, then why don't you go ahead and list with her, or list with, let's come up with a name, Sally. Why don't you go ahead and list with Sally Agent? What she's going to do in that moment, she's talking to you for a reason. She's in the presentation with you she already knows what Sally's going to do it for, but she wants to talk to you. There is something that you have. There is a black swan in there that you have not uncovered. Follow what I'm saying? So at this point, you're like, how am I supposed to do that? And if you can get all of this for that, then why don't you list with Sally?
I want the drone shots from you.
Exactly. She's going to begin to defend you and your skill set. She is going to sell herself on you. She's going to go, well, you know, you do all the drone packaging. You have the Harry Norman book that comes out. It's distributed to 500,000 people in the marketplace, and I want my house in there. And you've got Mayfair, and you've got Leading RE and Christie's for my home. You're also going to have the professional photographer and videographer come out. You're willing to do the broker opens, and I know you're going to do a big caravan for me, and I know we're going to have a grand opening open house where we're going to have a lot of vendors and other people come through to showcase the new whatever the heck it is she has. She's going to begin defending you. Never be afraid to have that conversation, and it starts with how or what, never why. Don't ever ask, why do you want me to reduce my commission? Because Sally Agent will. That's going to be the answer. It doesn't ultimately matter what the answer is. You ask them how. How am I supposed to do this for 5%?
Mm-hmm.
I understand Sally will do it for that. Why don't you list with Sally? She will defend you. She will sell. This sounds like the craziest thing in the world. I did this forever. And I have agents that work for me and agents that have worked for me for 15 plus years that are consistently getting 7% listings in this marketplace. So it was a little bit harder during the downturn in 2008, 9, and 10 because everybody was upside down on their houses. It ultimately doesn't matter what you charge as long as you're able to deliver that white glove level of service that Harry Norman does, regardless of price point. It matters what they net. Never be afraid of a net sheet in a listing presentation. Learn how to do it and do it well. And as long as they're netting what they're supposed to, it doesn't matter what you make. You follow me? So learn to do a listing presentation, a listing conversation, a listing seller conversion in the appropriate way using these negotiation techniques and a good pricing strategy. Sherry, you've sat through my pricing strategy class. I think Al has, I'm not sure. I don't know who else is on here that has, but it's a whole different technique that mirrors Ninja and how to present that so that you don't have you eliminate the objections beforehand. And if you get that last minute one, well, how am I supposed to do that? And then let them sell themselves on you. So that is the illusion of control. Also go for no. No is not a failure. Yes is a commitment. No relieves them. It deactivates the negative emotion. So my example of this, go for no, in a house and you're showing the house, or let's pretend you're at an open house and you have some people that you know they have no agent, they're great first-time home buyers, they've talked to your lender that's in the open house, she's done a quick pre-qual of them, they look great on paper, you're ready to really work with them, and they're walking through the house, but you sense that there's something about this house that they're not gonna like. That's 95% of the people through an open house. Only twice in my entire career have I ever sold a house on an open house. Somebody can probably beat that, but it's very, very rare. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at that buyer, whether it's an open house situation or somebody that's walking through, and you're going to look at them and go, Jan, tell me what you think about the house. Tell me what you like. You got to give me something negative. Go ahead. Tell me what you like.
I like the interior spaciousness, but the lot is really steep, and I just can't deal with that. I have children, and I need a level for them to play.
You need a yard for them to play. I understand.
Preferably fence, where I can put a fence around it. Yeah.
A fence. Well, this one obviously doesn't have a fence. So this house is not for you, is it?
No, it's great, but it just, that's real important to our family.
Okay, here's your key. Jan, tell me what you're really looking for. You better have a pen in your hand. Stop for 1 second, Jan. When you ask that question, have a pen in your hand, have your tablet, have your phone ready to take notes. Out a no is allows them to take that pressure off, because they feel the pressure in a house, whether they're a buyer looking at houses, they're on the 5th or 6th home of the day, or they're in an open house and you're the site agent that's there, and they feel a pressure like, this person's about to sell me, this person's about to sell me, this person's about to try to sell me. That's not building trust. You have to get them to go for no. So you get them to start unpacking the house, and she very blatantly said, interior great, yard stinks, need a fence. Mirror it, I understand. So this house isn't for you. No. Then tell me, what are you really looking for? Now see that there's a difference in tone and inflection. If I go, so tell me, what are you really looking for? It's like, oh my God, you're sarcastic, you don't care. If you drop that intonation and you go, Jan, tell me what you're really looking for. But you can't just look at her. You have to have a pen in your hand. You have to take notes so that you demonstrate that you're trustworthy and that you care. So that's a go for no technique. You can use it with everything. Let them say no, no matter what it's about. And you say, so tell me what's really on your mind. So tell me, what are you really looking for? So tell me what's truly important for you right now in this ATAC. So tell me what's really important for you in this listing and how I can best serve you. Tell me what you're looking for. Get them to say no, and then get them back on your side with giving them the illusion of control once you take the fire out of it, with allowing them to say no to you. They feel powerful then. And then you can help them unpack and find that black swan in the middle. So let's see, we've got another 6 minutes. Be certain that I have, oh, the last part is bending reality. This is a fun one. So I'm just going to read this real quick and I'll show you one technique on how this works. If you have any further questions or anything, we can stay a few minutes over if anybody has anything, or you can email me. I'll be happy to do that, or get on the phone or a video call with you. So bending reality, to distort reality for anybody, or at least their frame or perception of reality, is always a fear of loss. Every single one of us, regardless of personality type, regardless of anything that's out there, we all have a fear of loss. So find out what they're scared of losing and take it away, figuratively. And the way this one is going to work in bending the reality for them and helping them understand what's truly important, and you will be able to uncover black swans. You have to be very careful with this technique, but it works. It works even if you kind of, I'm going to use the term here that might have, even if you half-ass it, people. But what you want to do is learn to do it appropriately, where you say, Jan, we're in this house. You've lost 3 homes already. This one hits on 95% of every single thing that you want. We ran out here after work. We've looked at it. We're moving through. You know that this is the one that you need to write an offer on. So you can use the ninja skill set for that. Those of you that are ninjas, use any other buyer conversion techniques that you know or you've trained on. But you get to the point where, okay, Jan, this is 95% of what you want. You have to tell me, no, you don't want to sign. That's your key thing. So this is 95% of what you want. It's in the school district. It's 5 minutes from work. You have a fenced yard. It's level. You have the swimming pool that you want. It's the beautiful kitchen and the double ovens and the walk-in pantry and the marble countertops. It is $10,000 less than what you wanted to spend, and it's vacant and available. As soon as we can close this, you can move in. So can I go home tonight, let you get home, have some food? I'll go ahead and draft the contract, and then we'll get together and go over the details, and you can sign it and I can submit it tonight. You have to tell me now.
Sounds good. It sounds great. I would have to talk to my husband, but we have the same things in mind. So I think we should be moving forward together on this.
I just killed your husband. He has no say-so. only an inch. But
I have to bring him in.
But that is a pretty common thing. So you do always want to be certain that you have any decision makers in the room when you're having this discussion. But that was a good one. Good one. Yes, but I killed it, so we're moving on. Anyway, what you want to say, and this is what I mean by taking things away, fear of loss and bending reality. So Jan, I understand that you're a little nervous about signing another contract and moving through with this process because you've lost several before, and that's, I understand you probably feel really uncomfortable and nervous and don't want to lose this one again. And she's going to answer me, yes, no, kiss my butt, whatever. Doesn't really matter. The next thing that I say beyond that is, so Jan, we've lost 3. If you wake up tomorrow morning and this house is already under contract, because this has happened to us before, how are you going to feel?
Terrible. I don't like losing houses. I like buying them.
So there's the fear of loss. There's the fear of loss. And it works in anything. It works in anything. If you've got a seller that was slightly overpriced, the appraisals come in low and it's 10,000 low, they do have the wiggle room. Okay. There's a way to find that space in the middle. And it's not FHA or VA, obviously. But you say, what happens if we don't reduce the price? I know that messes with the net, but we'll work on the house the house you have under contract. You're already $10,000 in the black on it, so we're getting a really good deal on that one. How are you going to feel if we have to cut this contract loose due to this appraisal, and then we have to start this process all over? Take away things. Find out what they're most afraid of losing and pull it away. Say, how would you feel if, and set the stage. Use the very real specific things. What happens if you wake up tomorrow morning and you're pouring your cup of coffee, or you're having your cup of tea, or you're on your morning walk and you see my name on your cell phone and you answer it, and I have to tell you that this house is now under contract? You be very specific. You paint a picture. You use that step down transformer voice, because you don't want to get them hyped up. They're already hypersensitive to the fact and feeling very nervous. So you want to step that down and paint that picture and take it away. Every single one of us have a fear of loss, and we always negotiate in a place from that fear of loss. And you can call it out and use people. Do not use this technique manipulatively, because you can. But when you know that, so we know, and we know when the house, we know what people are looking before they've ever decided. We know when a house is a fit for them before they even know. We know. This is what we do. We've sold hundreds and hundreds of homes. They've probably bought or sold 4. So we know if we're good at our jobs. Don't use that technique manipulatively, but pull that out when you know they're sitting on the fence and they don't need to be. And that's being a realtor. That's being a Harry Norman agent. You always put the client's needs above your own pocketbook. That's just who we are. So use it in a way when you know that there's somebody that should list. They need to go ahead and list their house. You know that if they listed 2 weeks ago, you would have sold it 3 times already. Those are the things that you need to do. So in that instance, it would be, you said to me that you wanted to be in Santa Monica with your daughter when your new grandbaby is going to be born, and she's going to be here in 3 months or less. And if we don't get this house in the market, it's not going to be sold and closed, and that money's not going to be in your pocket so you can move, much less having found a place in Santa Monica that you can buy. Pull it away. But do it very specifically. The more specifically that you do it and set that stage, whether if you know they walk in the morning or walk their dogs, or if they do their yoga, like right after your yoga, you're all nice and peaceful. What are you going to do when you see my name on your phone and you answer it and I tell you this house is gone? Very, very specific. Step down transformer, nighttime DJ voice, tone and inflection is key, but take it away. And then dynamic silence. Dynamic silence is what's going to happen when it's gone.
Very disappointing. I don't want to go that route.
Right. Let's not let that. Let's not let that happen. So go home. I'm going to work on this on my end. Let's get back on the telephone in about an hour. Go and have some dinner. Have a glass of wine. Why don't I give you a call about 7:15, 7:30? Does that work? And we'll just talk about this a little bit more.
That's great.
So if that makes sense to all of you, we'll wrap this up. Let's see. I'm going to read the final things talking about the black swan. The black swan info is always the game-changing info, the seemingly innocuous pieces of information that once revealed change the entire negotiation process. The only way you're ever going to find those things is be open and curious to the unknown, and always ask one more question. Always ask one more question. Try to never let it be a why question, always a what or a how question. And one thing I want to encourage you all to do in negotiations with yourself, with your children, with your partners, with your clients, with the co-op agents, with anyone, always go and try to be surprised. If you always try to go for that unexpected thing and look to be surprised, prepare, like Al said, prepare yourself, unpack your own head, know your strategy going in. But if you stay curious and you always look like, man, I'm curious, I want to be surprised in this, you will always find that black swan space, that space that's truly collaborative, and that space that helps everybody feel like they are going to walk away with exactly what they need and want and be satisfied with it, and then be willing to come back to the table with you again. Does that all kind of make sense to everybody? All right, well, we're done. If anybody wants to stay, if you have any specific questions or you have contract challenges or anything that you want to talk to me about, you can stay on the call now, or you can email me, or I'll do my best to help you, whatever you have, anything at all. And do everybody check your email and be certain that you do have the workbook in there. And if you need to call me back and have me fill in some blanks if your notes aren't complete, I'll be more than happy to do that as well. And then if you do want to attend that builder negotiation class on Friday, it's Friday at 10 a.m. It's going to be an hour and a half long. You don't have to stay for the whole thing. You can come in and come out, because we're going to unpack a couple of these techniques, but we're also going to dig into the site agent, the contract, the walkthrough, the closing, and the after closing warranty items. So with Sherry and also with the builder. So email me or Gary if you're interested in being in that. So any questions? Any final things? Anyone? Anyone?
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
all for coming, and thank you for let's all getting on the same positive frame of mind with technology issues. I'm never doing this again on GoToWebinar. We're all Zooming it on Friday. I am not doing this one anymore. So, and also, any of you that are signed up for the License Law CE class I'm teaching tomorrow, I will see you there, and you're welcome to bring up and ask any questions you might not have gotten answered today, because we will have a little bit of question and answer in there, and I don't mind answering those questions as well. All right, y'all have a good afternoon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.